Hey there, this is Katherine Cartwright. Welcome. I'm going to be using up some patterned paper today. I've got a couple of pads from Park Lane and then a pad from Die Cuts with a View. I had this die set on my table. I've used a couple of the dies, but I wanted to use the rest of them and make some fall and Halloween cards. So I decided to pull out this paper and go ahead and do a bunch of cards. Again, are from Diamond Press. I think these were available on HSN. But I'm going to be using some adhesive sheets as well. And there's another paper pad I pulled out. Some of those are from last year, and some of those are from this year. So, but I'm just going to try and use up some of my patterned paper, making some quick and easy cards. When you've got a big die set like this, it makes it pretty quick and easy. So I've got a piece of Sizzix adhesive sheet. I don't use adhesive sheets a lot, but when I have a delicate die like this, I do like to use them. So I have a Sizzix adhesive sheet that I use. It's usually 6x6, and then I also have an Elizabeth Craft adhesive roll. It comes on these different size rolls, and the Elizabeth Craft is super, super sticky. The Sizzix is sticky, but not near as sticky to me as the Elizabeth Craft. But they both work very, very well. So it just depends on what you have. But when I have little intricate dies like this, it's so much easier to just die cut a bunch, take a piece of adhesive to the back of it, and then I can just pop these out and add them to my card. So I'm starting with this beautiful Hello Autumn. And I used a piece of patterned paper here that didn't have too much pattern, a little bit of pattern, and then I'm going to pop that out, and I'll add that to another piece of patterned paper. And this is just a fun way to use up your patterned paper. We all have too much, I'm sure, for card makers. For me especially, I love patterned paper. And especially ones that are the 6x6 size. I have a lot of 12x12, but I tend to just use more of the 6x6 because I am a card maker at heart. So I'm going to trim this down to 4 inches by 5 1/4, and then I definitely will save that other side of my patterned paper. I thought about maybe adding it to the Hello Autumn, but instead I went through my craft stash and I found this aspen leaf die that is very old. I think it's from probably Memory Box or Simon Says Stamp. It's pretty old, and I am going to die cut a couple of those out to add to my card. I wanted a little bit of contrast with my paper, and aspen leaves are yellow in the fall. They are beautiful and found in Colorado and the western states. I'm in the eastern states, and so we don't have aspens. They can't grow here. But we do have ginkgos, which I know I have, if you've watched any of my videos, I have often referenced or used a ginkgo stamp or a ginkgo stencil. I love ginkgo trees. They are green, and then they turn yellow in the fall if you're not familiar with them. And they rustle in the wind, sort of like the aspens. So when we lived in Colorado for several years, we fell in love with the aspen trees and would love to hear them up in the mountains when we would visit. And then when we moved back to where we live, we found the ginkgo trees and decided that they were very similar in terms of the way that they behaved in the fall, turning yellow, and so we are huge ginkgo fans. But anyway, I digress. I always love talking about trees. We are those people. We get very excited when we travel and we see beautiful ginkgos. I know in New York, when we've visited there once or twice, we have seen a ton of ginkgo trees on the street. Beautiful. Okay, so I've gotten these aspen leaves cut, and then I'm just going to kind of work on how I'm going to lay out this pattern here. I don't know exactly where I want to put it, and then I think I'm going to put one on the bottom, and yes, it's a strong contrast, so I'm going to add some ink to these leaves in just a second as well. But I love the way this die cuts it apart into two different pieces, so you could have kind of a different shade if you wanted to. All right, so now I'm going to start using a little bit of Distress ink. It's a little hard to see in this yellow paper, but that there is some veining of the leaf. So it's very realistic. It's so pretty. It really does look like a true aspen leaf. So I'm going to bring some ink over here to kind of pop out those edges, and then the center where the veining of the leaves are. And this is just a quick way to add a little bit of interest to your card. And I'm going to finish that edge, and then I'm going to do a second one as well. I stopped with one because I thought I might just use one leaf, but then I ended up using two. And on that Hello Autumn, you could go back and fill that in. The leaves on there, you could change that to a different color. I did not do it on this card, but that is something I would definitely consider. If you've got a die like this that cuts out and then you can paper piece it back in. I always enjoy paper piecing things back together. All right, I'm going to add this inside piece. I got to get it going the right direction. It fits perfectly in there. And then I love the way that looks. But I decided to add a second leaf as well. And then I'm going to put that Hello Autumn more at the top. I just couldn't decide. My leaf ended up being a little bit larger than I thought it would once I die cut it. But I love the way that it looks and the delicate structure. So I'm just figuring out my pattern here. And I added a little bit more ink to this one as well. So I'm just going to lay that down. And then I'll add the outer piece on there. Since it's a little bit delicate, I don't want to pull it out of shape too much. So I'm just going to apply that to the inside of that. Okay, it's so pretty. And then, so this is the Sizzix, adhesive, I find is repositionable for a smidge of time. It's not quite as sticky as this other adhesive that I use. I'd love for you to let me know in the comments if you ever use adhesive sheets. I find they're a great way to apply these delicate dies like this, even though it takes a little bit more time to add the adhesive to the back of the sheet. I find that it just gives me a greater ability to add it exactly where I want it, and it's going to stay without trying to get a liquid glue all around it. And I don't think I could use a dry adhesive on this one. So let me know in the comments if you've ever used adhesive sheets. All right, so I've added this to another layer of patterned paper, and then I'm going to start peeling apart my adhesive on the back, and then this will be applied to the front panel. So very quick and easy card. You don't have to add the ink to the leaves if you don't want to, but if think about using some leaf dies or shopping your stash and seeing what you've got to jazz up your patterned paper. That's what I like to do. Patterned paper, like I say, we all have too much, I think. But you can always find something that you can add to it. And I'm going to press this Hello Autumn down. And I love the way that looks. So I'm going to kind of burnish this in there so it will cure and stick beautifully. And that is the first card. But I did want to add a few of these gemstones. These are from Honeybee Stamps. I love the size of them. They have 2 or 3 different sizes on here. And the shades, they're very high quality and beautiful. I'm just having trouble today sticking them to my finger. And then I'll flip that one over. I'm going to add 3 on the top and 3 on the bottom to complete my card. And this will be great for the mail because there's not very much dimension added. You could leave off the adhesive gems on there if you wanted to, and do like some Nouveau drops or something that adds a little bit of dimension but not too much. And that is all there is on that card. Very quick and easy using that patterned paper. And you don't have to worry about the background because it's already set up because of the pattern. Okay, so I'm going to move on to this next card. I have gone ahead and die cut the 31st, and then I added this onto my pattern paper. I have this star background, and then I took another piece of paper that had this beautiful silver spider web and just trimmed that down to about 1 inch and added that to the bottom of my card. I am adding an October on here that was included in this set. I think that's so fun. I loved this 31st that had the spider web. I thought that was really cool. And then I'm going to add some liquid adhesive to my October, and I did a green so it would really stand out against that background. I thought about an orange and I tried it, but it just was not bright enough. So I went to my other go-to color for my Halloween cards. I usually use purples or greens, and so I chose the green on this one. Just cleaning that up a little bit, got a little too much adhesive. And then that is going to be it on this card. So fun and super quick and easy. You could make a bunch of these, no problem. And use up that pattern paper that I keep talking about. All right, so I am gonna incorporate a couple of these doily dies. This one that you see, the brown one with the leaves on the outside, these are doilies. And they were in another set I picked up from Diamond Press this fall. And I had a couple extra that were die cut on my desk. And so I decided to incorporate some of them into these cards. Now I chose this patterned paper, this beautiful gray and brown shade, which I'll be honest is not really in my wheelhouse. I tend to use a lot of bright colors in my card making, or at least color. Maybe it might be pastels, but definitely color. And so this is kind of a neutral for me that I probably normally wouldn't use if it wasn't included in this paper pad. So I stretched myself a bit here, choosing some different shades. So I pulled out that brown, and then I'm going to cut this Grateful for You from the darker gray cardstock that I thought would work well with the background of that paper. And I'm just picking out a few little tiny pieces here. And again, I've got this Elizabeth Craft adhesive. It's very, very sticky. So I'm just taking care to gently lay this down, because once I put it down with the Elizabeth Crafts, it's not coming up. I'm just telling you. If you have any of this, or you've ever used the sheets or the roll, it is super sticky, which is why I love it. I found it years and years and years ago on Joann.com. I needed some adhesive, and I have loved it. I have rolls of it, and I have really enjoyed it. So I'm just adding some foam sheets here, some little foam squares, I should say, and I'm going to pop this up onto my beautiful patterned paper. And then this will be added to a card base, but I need to make that really quick. I am using my We Are Memory Keepers cutter and get a great cut every time. And this is an A2 size card. I always like to say that in videos because I know in different parts of the world people make different size cards. This is just an 8.5 by 11 piece of cardstock cut in half, which makes a 5.5 by 4.25 cardstock base, an A2. I think sometimes people who've been making cards for a long time take for granted that people are curious about the measurements, but that is pretty much the size card that I make most of the time. If I make any other sizes right now, it's usually a slimline card or a mini slimline card. But for the most part, I like the A2. I don't like to make huge cards, and I don't usually make tiny cards. So this is my standard. I'm just adding some Nouveau shimmer here to the top of my Grateful. So it's a little hard to see, but once it dries, there'll be a very nice shimmer on there. Okay, so on this next one, Again, I've added some patterned paper. I have a piece with the little owl and the stars. And then I added another piece that has those stripes on there because I wanted this boo to stand out. And so actually it's the back side of that patterned paper. So I just flipped that piece over and trimmed it down, and I'm adding my boo to the front with that cute spider web and the spider. And there's some silver shine in that paper I was just showing you. So that's it on that one. Super quick and easy. I've got another one of these doilies. This is the pumpkin one that is so cute. I wish that Diamond Press would come out with some Christmas ones. I think it's too late this season. I think the Christmas season, holiday season is already gone in crafting, so to speak. I know they work so far ahead in that industry, so I don't think we'll get them this year, but maybe next year they'll come out with these doilies. I have loved them. They've been a lot of fun. And I think I have another video, I may have mentioned this, but where I know I made several cards using these doily dies. If you happen to pick them up and were looking for some inspiration, I got you covered. All right, so I've got the trick or treat here. I've got this cute coffin paper, which is fun. And I am going to add the trick or treat on here. This is a very delicate die, so I definitely used the adhesive. And I'm just pulling out those last little smidgy pieces that are in the T that are very, very thin. And I just love the fonts that Diamond Press used on these. But you could use any of your word dies to create these kind of cards just using your patterned paper. So cut your pattern paper, add a circle or some kind of circular shape, and then a word die, and you've got a great pattern to create a bunch of cards. I'm just trying to get this last little piece out. It's giving me fits here. and there we go. Finally got it out. And since the back is sticky, I'm going to take this to my mat. The whole word is sticky, and I don't want it to stick to my paper. So I'm just going to press that down, and then I will add some foam dimensionals to the back of that. And I'm going to give that a good press. And that looks so cute. And I just love those little pumpkins. Super cute. But not too scary. Not too scary. All right. Here are my Stampin' Up! Dimensionals. I love them. I use them a lot. They're not too thick, which I like. And but they kind of come and go in my craft room when I can locate them. I can use them. And so if you haven't seen them in a while in a video, it's because they've been buried under a pile of stuff. Okay, so let me cut this black cardstock. Again, doing an A2 size card base, just cutting that directly in half. And then I'm just going to fold that over. You could use your bone folder to get a nice crease, but I think it ended up being okay. All right, some liquid adhesive here to the back of that cardstock, that pattern paper, and then this card is finished with a flourish of the little pumpkins and the trick or treat. All right, now moving on. Again, I'm cutting another card base. I'm pretty sure this paper is from Papertreyink. And they have beautiful cardstock. If you're not familiar with their cardstock, I love their cardstock. The colors are beautiful and they're so rich. And they have like, I want to say starter packs, or just like you get 2 pieces of cardstock of each of their colors. And they are beautiful. So I highly recommend their cardstock. I use that a lot. Here is a piece of pattern paper that's got this gorgeous, the leaves are in gold foil. And then I love that they included in this set a Happy Thanksgiving die. I don't think I have one like this that's so nice and large and bold. So I'm just going to apply this directly to my patterned paper. This die set particular does not have a shadow. You could make your own by tracing around it and then hand trimming if you wanted to. But if you've got a die that's got the shadow, this would work great on this patterned paper. But even though the patterned paper is fairly busy, I think you can still see that Happy Thanksgiving pretty well. So again, just another quick and easy card using up your patterned paper. And then I'm going to glue this blue onto my card base, and that card will be done. I need a few Thanksgiving cards this year, so this takes one off of my plate, so to speak. Okay, beautiful. And that paper is so pretty. All right, so thanks for sticking with. I hope that you were inspired to pull out some patterned paper. It's so quick and easy to use it because your background is already ready. Just add some dies on top, maybe a circle or a square on top to add some interest, and then add your word die. Here's one I made. I made a couple off camera. Happy Halloween, that's that other doily. And then here is a spooky, just applying that directly to a piece of patterned paper. So let me know if you had a favorite card. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day. See you soon.